Welcome to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. I'm your host, Fabian motherfucking Ojeda, and I don't know shit, but that's okay. All right, let's get this shit started. Thank you everybody for listening to the Ignorance is Strength podcast. Hope everybody enjoyed episode number 4 with my little brother, Mauricio Ojeda. Definitely talking about weight loss, extreme weight loss. Hopefully that'll motivate some of us, maybe some of me, to get something going. But we're back with episode number 5. We have an educator, an armchair conspiracy theorist, a veteran, and an all-around nice guy, Mr. Roy Rodriguez. Roy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, thank you. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing with this quarantine? I see you got the dew growing back up there, man.
Right. Well, you know what it is? It's just the fact that I figured, you know what? I'm not really going to be meeting anyone anytime soon.
Uh-huh.
I'll grow out, and by the time I'm ready to go back out there, I'll groom it back up.
Yeah, I kind of went the other way, man. I'm just like, fuck, I can't stand looking like... You ever seen Fresh Off the Boat? With the Asian kid?
Yes.
I'm like, I can't stand looking like fucking Eddie Wong with his wild-ass hair, man. So I'm like, gotta just chop it all off, you know? So I kind of went the other way there. I see you're wearing your Tiger King martial arts shirt, huh? Yeah, right there.
Based on your recommendation, I'll go watch that show. And man, that thing was insane.
Oh yeah. So you know what? Here's what I tell people about that show is that like he's a piece of shit and he knows it, you know. And that's what you see is what you get. So like, of course, there's no hero in that story, you know. But I think the guy's just so charismatic that it works, you know. Like,
yeah, and like you said, he just goes with it. He just lives it. He owns it. Just being a big old heaping pile of garbage.
Yeah, he embraces the fact that he's a piece of shit, and that's all you can. You know, you got to respect that. Unlike the evil bitch, Carol Baskin.
Right? Oh man, and I'll tell you this much though, I was tripping out how she's able to con everybody to work for free.
For free, yeah.
Based on the color of a t-shirt.
Yep. For years. Years of free labor.
Exactly.
All right, Roy, so we're going to jump into a few things with the podcast. First and foremost, you know, I want just kind of touch briefly on how we know each other. You know, and I think we first met years ago, probably like 5-6 years ago, right? At working at LAAA.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's where you met. I was that was during my time that I was substitute teaching there, and you were running the after school program.
Right.
And yeah, you know, then eventually I became a full-time teacher, and it was really good getting to know you. You're good people.
Thank you, man. Likewise. How was your experience there? I mean, we're not trying to incriminate anybody, but how was your experience there?
I will say this. My experience, I loved LAAE mainly due to the fact that I love the people I work with. The group of kids that weren't, for lack of a better term, energetic and disrespectful.
The ones that weren't shitheads, right?
Exactly. Yes.
I'll say it for you.
You know, they were good people. Because the one thing I didn't like about there is just the fact that, there was a lot of lack of accountability. A lot of the kids knew that the good kids were good kids because they were good kids. Right. So bad kids, they knew they ran everything, so they had no incentive to be good. And those in the middle, they just went with the flow.
They went one way or the other. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
That was definitely, I would say, one of the crazier experiences for me, working at such a small school with such a personality, we'll say, right? But I remember a few years ago, you know, we kind of had our last bash there because everybody was going their separate ways. I'm talking about staff was going their separate ways, right? You know, I knew I was going to be going to a different school. You were going to be going to a different school. Bunch of people in that same boat. So we took a little trip to Vegas. Do you remember anything about that, Roy?
Oh yes.
I thought that was a lot of fun, man. Tell me about it.
It was a lot of fun. I'll tell you this much. The one thing that I do miss out on, and it's the fact that missing out on meeting the Godfather.
Yeah.
Setting up for months. Are you ready to take a ride on the
train?
You know, and the little cash. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So we found, because apparently we found out that he worked as a bouncer at a strip club.
Yeah.
And yes, so I think that was the first time I was ever more excited to meet a bouncer than actually go inside for the women.
Exactly. I think at some point, and then they also said that D'Lo Brown worked there.
Yes, that's right. D'Lo Brown also worked there, I believe, as a bartender. I can't remember.
No,
Yes,
they were both bouncers, yeah. Well,
both bouncers, okay.
Yeah, Godfather owned a piece of it, but yeah, he had D'Lo Brown as a bouncer too.
Okay, yeah, and so I won't mention any names, but somebody met with someone.
Uh-oh.
I'll tell you, but so this was like, okay, no, I will say this.
Uh-huh.
It's one of the most awesome parts of that story, of that weekend. Depending on your point of view, right? I'm pretty sure the girl that I'm about to mention, she didn't like being jilted, but just as she thought she was going to hook up with the big O, she gets put to the side for someone else. And so, and then all of a sudden, that other girl somehow gets invited by, I won't mention any names. I'm sure you know who it is.
Right.
And it's a big reason on why we missed out on meeting the Godfather.
There was no invitation. I'll just say that. But no, that was the reason we missed out. And it was literally by like minutes or like an hour or something like that. And I even remember...
it was by minutes, yeah. It was by minutes because I recall... The limo guy said, "Oh wow, he left just not even 5 minutes ago."
Yeah.
Dino had left about. Dino was the one that left about maybe 45 minutes to an hour earlier.
And I remember I even told the limo driver, I'm like, man, just take us back. He wasn't even gonna get paid for that trip. But it was good times, man. Even though the club was kind of fucked up and they had like 50-year-old veteran strippers or whatever.
Right? I'll tell you this much, though. Anytime anybody ever asks me about that place, because I will mention it, I'll bring it up. I'll say, you know what, though? That's a place to go for a smorgasbord of taste, for lack of a better phrase, because it has everything you might want. If you want the old ones, you got the old ones. You got the young ones, you got the young ones.
I mean, they weren't serving up anything I wanted at that point. I'll just say that.
No, don't get me wrong.
Oh man, it was like the fucking scraps of the buffet at that point.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it was definitely not the 8 crowd, but it had one or two decent looking ones. Unfortunately, those decent looking ones were already taken away
by people with more money. But I remember it was a good trip. It was a lot of fun. Wanted to shout out to my buddy Whitey. You know, I told him I'd be talking to you on the podcast, and I know I mentioned it to you. He recalls, you know, how you guys were like fucking scrambling to find fucking waffles or something like at 4 a.m. at all over Vegas, and not having very much luck with it.
Yeah. So what happened was, it's like, okay, so that first night, I got in around 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. Maybe an hour's worth of sleep.
Okay.
And he got in 7 a.m. No sleep, and we were just talking about, hey, what about want some pancakes or waffles? And he was like, yeah, let's go. So we just start walking, and we just start going. We started looking for the buffet or anything to eat at the Venetian. We could not find it. We could not find the place. So we're like, you know what? Let's just go across the street. Let's go any other. So like, yes, we come across the buffet for Treasure Island. Mm-hmm. And we're like, okay, well, they have to have it there. There's no way. We had our omelets, our waffles, our pancakes, and we were happy.
Right. Well, you know what? I know I mentioned I had some surprises for you. Here's surprise number 1, if you can hear it. Give it a second.
Hey, Roy, what's up? Glad to hear you're on Fabian's podcast. Fabian said he promised you a surprise. Well, here I am. I'll never forget wandering around Vegas with you at like 5 a.m. on a random search for waffles. Then we had that failed ride on the Ho train. I'm not really the surprise. Check this out.
So that's the voice of Mr. Whitey there. You wanted to make sure to say hello. But he mentioned at the end there, He's not the real surprise. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn you over real quick so you can see the real surprise. Give me a second.
Hey, what's going on, Roy? WWE Hall of Famer, the Godfather here. And your boy Fabian, he reached out to me and he said that you guys came to Vegas a couple of years ago and that you'd heard that I worked at Cheetah's, so you came by. Well, I sold my part of Cheetah's over a year ago. I'm not there anymore. I'm sorry I missed you, first of all. But I'm at a club called the Spearmint Rhino now early in the week. You can catch me there when I'm in town. And I just wanted to tell you guys I'm sorry I missed you. I would have loved to have met you. I would have took you for a little ride on the Ho train because that's what I do best. But next time we hook it up, man, we're going to do it right. So it's time, once again, for everybody, including my man Roy and Fabian, to come aboard the Ho train. Guys, seriously, next time you're in Vegas, make sure you get a hold of me. You can catch me on Instagram. I am the Godfather on Instagram, verified, so you can always catch me on there. Peace.
Yo.
What do you think about that, man?
Speechless? I'm like, wow. How?
I had to hook it up, man, you know.
How?
A lady never asks, a gentleman never tells.
Well, that is freaking beyond awesome. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, man.
Wow.
That was a surprise I was hoping that you'd get a kick out of.
Oh, that is, dude, that is like the best surprise I could think of. I can only think one more, but it would have been just, meeting him in person.
Yeah.
But, yo, this is freaking awesome.
Hey, but you know what? We got an invite there to the Spearmint Rhino, so we'll take a few extra bucks next time, and we'll make it happen. So,
for sure.
I hope that kind of makes up for missing them last time.
More than makes up for it. More than makes up for it.
Yeah. So, Roy, I know we're talking about the Godfather. You had a pretty interesting lucha libre nickname when we would go out drinking. What was that?
It was El Padrastro.
And what was his finishing move?
It was, you get out of line, 5 across the eye.
Oh, man. I definitely remember that for sure. So we're talking about a few different things, and I just want to check in on the status of Vegas, man, because you kind of just stayed there after the trip, right? You started teaching there?
Well, yeah, so essentially what happened was that, so it's interesting because back, obviously, I stayed for a full week because that was my birthday week in Vegas.
Right.
And I got to tell you, it was that first week, the first 3 days, I had maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
At one point, I had maybe 2 or 3 hours worth of sleep that first 2 or 3 days.
Okay.
Total. And by the 5th night, I was like, you know what? No, I got to get some sleep. So so I wound up coming back to Vegas because, because one thing is like, where can I start? So back in LA, housing was ridiculous trying to buy a house.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? I want to be able to buy a house. So I came to Vegas and started teaching here and saved up a little change. And now I'm able to have my house. And it is, and it's been so far, knock on wood.
You got to go a few feet down instead of up there, man. You knocked on your head. You got to knock on your head.
I know, right? Well, so so far I have my house. I have my dog's over there. Let me see if you can see him there. I don't know if you can see him there.
He's trying to get cool. I see him.
Oh, okay, yeah, he's right there. He's just like resting. And so I mean, I have my dog, I have a house, I have my job. So I mean, so far so good. Things are working out, and I'm meeting the goals that I set out for when I moved out here.
Yeah.
And of course, among them was not getting quarantined, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah, and how is Vegas during quarantine? I can't imagine it. It's probably dead out there, man.
It is. Interestingly enough, though, the Strip,
mm-hmm.
It has a lot of cops there for obvious reasons. They got to make sure that people don't try and be dumb and, try and break open whatever slot machines they're able to do. I don't know what goes in the minds of some of these people.
Yeah.
But you still see sometimes people just cruising down just because, or people walking, or even sometimes in fact, every now and then you'll even see some bicycle riders just going down the strip.
Huh. And so,
but just to see, but yeah, it's pretty dead. I mean, everywhere you go, it's pretty. I mean, even the 24-hour bars are closed.
Yeah.
One thing, about the strip, it's also, I mean, hardly any people there. But can we all agree, actually, that the half-naked showgirls that charge for pictures, they're the true victims of all this. Now they're left without an income.
And it's not opening anytime soon, right? And if they do, it's going to be like at 50% capacity, something like that?
Something like that. Okay, so the way it's working out is that a lot of so it's going to be around 50 or 60% capacity. That place is going to be opening up this weekend, starting today. Mostly restaurants, barbershops here and there. Of course, they're going to somehow, within the barbershop and salons, they're going to practice social media, how that one's going to work, but that's one of the story. But yeah, no, they're opening up a lot more just in time for Mother's Day. Wow, what a coincidence, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, so essentially about 2 or 3 weeks of phase 1, they're going to expand more business to be open. So about 2 or 3 weeks, there's no spike in coronavirus patients. They're going to go ahead and open it up even further.
Okay.
And I think casinos are not going to be considered until phase 3, if I remember correctly. I can't remember my head.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of like here in California, we got to phase 2 and they're like, hey, we're going to open up flower shops and fucking golf courses. I'm like, okay, how does that serve me, the average Joe, But you're right. Just in time for fucking Mother's Day, they want to sell you them flowers and shit. But, I'm like, open up the barbershops, open up the gyms, we're gonna look like a bunch of hairy fucking, like, overweight people, I mean, some of us are already there, but, we don't want to make it worse.
Exactly. Or at the very least, open up the DMV.
Yeah, that would be helpful. But
but I mean, that's because like you said, the average person, right? Tell me who could not benefit from the DMV right now being open for the average person? Because there's a lot of people that are have like their registration and driver's license expiring. Yeah, they have that extension, but still.
Yeah, no, I just hate the DMV in general, so I don't give a shit. If they're not penalizing me, I'll take it, So
I hear you.
Real quick, Roy, I like to get my listeners in on, who you are, and a lot of the people that I've interviewed so far I grew up with. But tell us a little bit about growing up. Where'd you grow up?
Okay, so I actually grew up in LA, near, I don't know if you know the areas of Washington and Vermont.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like not too far from where the 10 and the 110 meet, for those that are not too sure of those two streets.
Like South Central, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, close to there. And so I grew up there majority of my life. And I went to public school all the way up to the 8th grade. And I went to a private Catholic school for high school, mainly because my homeschool at the time was going to be manual arts high school.
I see.
And my mom was freaking out. She was thinking, she was like the typical overprotective, Latina mom. Yeah. And who was thinking, oh no, mi hijo se va a poner en pandillas y drogas, for those that don't know. It's just like, oh no, my son's going to be, in gangs and drugs. And I was like, oh, Mom, I went to Brendo Junior High School. Back then it was called high school. It was a pretty bad freaking junior high school. If I didn't get into gangs or drugs at that point, I'm not going to get into it in high school. And plus, I had my head screwed on better than that. But I try to explain that to a mom, you know?
I mean, when the other option is, from public school is the Lord, I guess the Lord wins.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So from there, I wound up thinking, okay, at the time, ironically enough, I didn't really want to go to college. I figured college was be. I just saw myself at the time being more of a blue collar worker or going to the military. That's what I wanted to do at that time. Work with my hands, all that stuff.
So you didn't always want to be a teacher?
No, I didn't always want to be a teacher.
Okay.
No. However, my senior year of high school, I was volunteering at the church in which I did my confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Catholic, so I did my confirmation. I was doing volunteering there for like the youth groups and some of the younger grades and all that stuff. And that's how the spark of teaching started. Started there.
Yeah.
Got sparked there, and so long and short of it, I was in the Navy. I loved it. I wanted to get in some direction, and believe it or not, I was a lot more immature before the Navy.
How is that possible?
Right? But believe it or not, yes, it was. And so I got a little bit more focus, more direction, and I got out. And I decided, you know what? I got enough of working with my hands. But I also wanted, but what I did is I also didn't want to go any kind of white collar work for that matter. So I decided, you know what though, let me just become a mechanic. So I decided so I went to community college, became a mechanic for a couple of years. But one thing I didn't like was the fact that people were asking me, "Oh, you know about cars? What happens? What happened? What does it mean when this happens? Or what about that?" And they wanted me to fix their cars for free. So I was like, "No, I'm good."
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that. I started working a number of odd jobs, and then I started going back to help at the church with classes, and I really liked teaching kids about my faith and all that stuff. So from there, I decided, let me see if this works for me. So I started applying and became a tutor, and then I started working. Fast forward YPI, and that's when I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go back to school. And so I worked at YPI for several months in 2008.
Yeah.
And I did that while I was going to school, and then went back to YPI in 2012, and that's when I started at LAAE.
Okay, all right. So you've been teaching now maybe about close to 8-9 years, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It would be 8-9 years if you include my years of substitute teaching.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, full time in the classroom teaching, where I'm the teacher, would be 3-4 years now.
Okay, so how you liking it? What's the best thing about teaching? Maybe what's one of the kind of crappier things about it? Just what's your experience so far?
I love it. Not gonna lie, I love it mainly because when seeing the growth in some of these kiddos, and even interesting enough, seeing some of the knuckleheads, make a turnaround.
Yeah.
Based on I'll give you a perfect example. One of the coolest moments, right? One of my top 3 moments, but this probably is at the top, is, okay, my second year here in Vegas, I got nominated by one of my former students for what's called the Heart of the Teacher Award. Okay. And essentially, this is now, to give you a quick backstory, the student, just a year before, at one point, was trying to get away with things. She was very smart, extremely smart. And she tried anytime she could try and get over on teachers, she would. Think of it kind of like, did you ever see Saved by the Bell?
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of like Zach Morris.
Okay.
In that sense, right? So I checked her, and I checked her hard one time. And on the second time that I checked her, I told her, look, I know you don't like me. And her exact words were, well, nobody likes you. But then again, except for that one student, but he likes everybody. And the reason is because that classroom was wild and off the hook, and I had them on lockdown. I was strict. And so she just did not like me. And on the last day of school, I had to take everybody's recess away because they were just goofing around. And she was like, it's our last day of school. We're not going to see each other anymore. And I was like, well, then, if that's the case, you need to be doing still what you need to be doing. And that is following the rules. And so the following year, I was shocked when it turns out I got an email from not only her, but from the Heart of the Teacher Association people, right? And apparently she was saying that her English teacher in the 6th grade at the time was asking which teacher had the biggest impact on her. She said me.
Wow.
And he said in that email, I'll summarize it, saying, yeah, I was tough, but I did it because I cared and because I needed to be tough.
Right.
And she said that, and she nominated me for this award. And I was like, oh, wow. Like, I cannot tell you, like, wow. I'm fairly stoic for the most part, but that thing just knew she just knew how to tug the heartstrings at that point.
Yeah.
So that was one of the coolest parts, coolest moments.
What, go ahead, man. I was going to say, what was maybe one of the crappier things about teaching?
There's two that is tied.
Okay.
The crappier moments. One was when I used to substitute teach at this one school. This 6th grade kid was picking and bullying this one kid.
Okay.
So I had to be careful on how I separated him. So he had his backpack on, so I just pulled the backpack. And he goes, "Take your hands off me." I was like, "How did I put my hands on you?" He goes like, "Well, I'm just playing with him." Like, yeah, and I explained to him, "Yo, he's not playing. And this is no joke." He goes like, "Well, you need to get out of my face." Like, yo, I'm not in your face, you know. And then he gestures a swing at me. So I put one foot back, thinking, all right, I got to get in my stance, thinking, okay, if this is gonna go down, I'm gonna defend myself, and and I'm already seeing in the news, oh yeah, grown adult defends against a 6th grade kid.
Yeah.
But lucky for me, he just gestured, and as soon as he saw that I got in a stance, he thought I flinched, and he goes, "That's what I thought," and walks away.
He thought he punked you out.
He thought he punked me out, but I'm thinking, you know what? I'll let him think that. I'm not about to. You know, but I was thinking to myself, man, that kid was just so lucky, because that's a whole nother story.
Would you say that was like the worst student you ever had?
No, the worst student is the second experience.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
And that was at LAAE.
Had to be.
I caught this kid cheating. He cheated. I caught him dead to rights. He was like, "I was not cheating." I was like, "I just saw you." And he was like, "I was not." He was thinking if he denied it enough, I'd believe him. So I gave him a 0 on his test. You gave me a 0, and he just started cursing me out. And the whole time I was just thinking to myself, this kid is about to come at me. Because the way he's cursing me out.
Right.
But lucky for me and him, more for him, me career-wise, him, because I was just thinking, if he comes at me, I'll be like, you know what, guys? Take out your cell phones, because if I'm about to lose my job, I'm going to make it go viral. I'm about to make it go viral. Because if I'm about to lose my job over this kid, I'm going to make it go viral, make it go worth it. Make it be worth it. But he, lucky for me and everybody involved, he just walked away, just cursing me out. No, but that's the whole thing. I obviously reported it, and obviously, at the time, nothing happened to him.
Of course.
He was in class the following day, and just still being a pain in the neck, knowing nothing's going to happen to him, no matter how he talks to me.
Right. You know, yeah, there was a lot of that, man. Just a lot of fucking excusing of terrible behavior, and I hate that. You know? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. You know, and then and sometimes, and I'm not gonna say all the time, but sometimes it makes me wonder. Like sometimes you do see videos going viral of teachers going off on students. You know, and I'm not saying it's justified, but sometimes I'm wondering, like, what happened with that teacher, right? To feel that he knows nobody's going to have his back anyway, so he had to take things into his own hands.
Right.
You know?
I think there was an incident like that a few years ago with the wrestling coach at Santa Monica High School. Older guy. And, you know, there was like a kid selling drugs in class and, you know, stepping up to the teacher like he was going to fight him. So the teacher, who's a wrestling coach, you know, he shoots in and takes him down, and he holds him. You know, he doesn't do anything else but restrain the kid. He doesn't punch him, doesn't choke him, anything like that. But I mean, sometimes I can understand that, man, because I've had kids like, you know, I used to work at a school that was like 5th through 8th grade. That was kind of like the equivalent of a continuation school. They called it, what do they call it? Shit, I even forget the special name they gave it. But think a continuation school for 5th through 8th grade. And some of them were pretty combative, man. They wanted to, you know, to step up. They don't care, like, you know, because I was a pretty big guy then, you know. They knew I did, you know, like some wrestling, a little bit of MMA and whatnot, and they still didn't care. They want to try to step up, you know. So I can kind of see it from their point of view sometimes, and you never ever get that teacher's side of the story when you see the viral videos.
Yeah, you're mentioning the Santa Monica wrestling coach teacher. One thing about him is that he did have the support of the parents. Right. So that was good. I remember that story because of the fact that I was thinking to myself, I can actually kind of see that, you know. I'm surprised it never happened, you know, but I could kind of see something like that happening at WWE because of the fact a lot of these kids, they did want to step up.
Or they at least postured like they wanted to step up.
Yes, exactly.
We'll just leave it at that because we'll have another conversation about all that when we see each other in Vegas one of these days. I'm going to really quick pivot over to the school closures. What did you think of the school closures? I mean, here in California, they closed all schools like at the end of the second week of March. Is this the same thing in Vegas?
Yeah, it was around the same time. In fact, it was at the same time because of the fact that, in fact, I honestly believe, obviously I have no confirmation about this, but I honestly believe that the Clark County School District and the Las Vegas officials, they were noticing that, well, LA and New York were shutting down. Right. So might as well do the same with Las Vegas, especially considering Las Vegas, I believe it's the 5th largest, Clark County is the 5th largest school district. So they figure, you know what, might as well do it. And I honestly agree with that because at the end of the day, we have to put safety, you know, safety and health of the kids ahead, you know. And unfortunately, it was just crazy. Let me rephrase that. It's just like the impact of, you know, this whole virus is just crazy in the way it came down, you know. And but long and short of it, it just comes down to the fact that we have to put the health and safety of the kids ahead of time. And I honestly feel that it had to be done. To be done because, like, if we didn't do it, and all of a sudden all these kids started developing coronavirus, you know, then it would just be a big old mess, for lack of a better phrase.
I agree.
Well, really quickly, there are a few more choice words I prefer to use, but I choose that.
Yeah, you can use them, man. We're not PG, but you know, at first I was really like, this is stupid. Why are we shutting everything down? You know, the kids are not going to do any work at home. The teachers are not prepared. The admin's not prepared. Parents are not prepared. You know, but that's when, you know, maybe less than 100 people died in the U.S. from this shit, you know? And now, fast forward, you know, about 2 months, because we're at about 60 days almost, you know, of quarantine or whatever. Thousands have died, you know? And like, just to kind of give you perspective, I want to say, like, everybody in my family got the damn virus, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it put me out for the count for a bit. I'm pretty sure it was it. I'll get my test results back on next week, hopefully. But, you know, I'm pretty sure I had it because I was feeling pretty shitty. And I know, you know, at least 3 confirmed cases where in the family that had it that I had contact with. And it's fucking nuts, man, because I haven't even left the house or done anything, you know. So I can imagine if kids, you know, some of them, let's be real, with bad hygiene, you know, were to be sitting right next to each other, it would probably get pretty shitty. It would probably be a pretty big clusterfuck.
Yeah, and that's the word I wanted to use.
I know. I said it for you, Roy. I got you, man. But, with all this, going on, I can't imagine that the virtual learning and all that is working extremely well. Because you even have like an LAUSD like super low numbers where kids aren't even attending. Yeah. They're not logging on. Like there's some students who have not logged on. Period. So I can't imagine that this whole virtual learning thing is the greatest tool because, I talked about it in the podcast with Whitey, but, yes, they're getting free access to internet through some companies. Schools are providing tablets or laptops or, Chromebooks, whatever, right? So they have the tools, they have the internet access, but still at home, some of them are like, well, I don't have space. I can't, log on and do a video chat because there's like 12 people in the house, and that's valid. I mean, there's always going to be an excuse, So I can't imagine this is easy. So how's your experience been with virtual learning and, trying to teach via Zoom and stuff like that?
So lucky for me, or let me rephrase that, what's been fortunate for me is that I've been using, aside from the virtual learning, sorry, just like a little fun, I've been using also Google Classroom to also give them assignments.
Okay.
So a lot more have been able to do assignments at their own pace. Mm-hmm. So I feel that's also been beneficial.
Okay, so they are logging on, they are doing it?
Yes, but not everybody, of course.
Right.
I mean, there are going to be those that... But also, that's also because of the fact that some of these kids, especially here in Vegas, I'm sure they're there in LA as well, but here in Vegas, a lot of these kids, they don't have internet access at home. A lot of them, they don't have the technology at home.
Right.
Heck, some of my students, I'll give you a quick snapshot of some of my students. Mm-hmm. Some of my students don't even know where their next meal are going to come from. I had this one student that told me one time, just casually told me, my birthday, I'm finally going to be able to have a birthday cake, and because 3 weeks after her birthday, because it took them that long to save up, because her family did not have money for that.
Yeesh, that's pretty fucked.
Yeah, so some of them, they're pretty hard up for, they have a pretty harsh life, Mm-hmm. So anyway, with that stated, some of them, they can be provided with the Chromebooks, which they have, but it's just trying to find ways of getting them to have internet access.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, and the Cox has been pretty good. We have Cox cable here.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what do you mean Cox is good, Roy? I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah, that's why I had to rephrase myself. That's why I had to backtrack. We have Cox Cable here.
Okay.
And they have been pretty good at providing the internet. Yes. No. COX.
Okay.
COX.
All right. I get it now.
Okay.
Oh, I was a little worried right there, but before we switch gears and get into the social media says mailbags, because we have two of them for you, believe it or not.
All right.
Anything else you want to add about the school closures?
I mean, other than the fact that I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize how much I miss my students as much as I would, and I'm being serious, and I just feel bad for a lot of these kiddos that this is the way a lot of them are ending their year. Mm-hmm. Their year, but sometimes, it is necessary just for the health and safety, but other than that, that's just it right there. I can't, I'm just hoping that we're able to reopen at the beginning of the school year on time in the classroom.
I definitely feel bad for class of 2020 seniors,
Oh yeah.
Is what it is. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna dig into the social media says mailbags, and I mentioned you have two of them. So we have the school closures. Social media says first. After that, we'll go full-on tin hat and talk about some conspiracy theories. All right? But let's get to social media says about the school closures. And I asked, in general, parents, teachers, anybody with kids or, that works with kids, how do you feel about the school closures? And so let me read some here. So we got Luis Centeno from Facebook. He says, podcasts or YouTube video educators should be posting to help parents. He says, I know my sister has been using social media to read to her students and interact with them. There are also many home programs out there for parents and groups that will help you how to learn how to teach. Okay, anything on that, Roy?
Actually, interestingly enough, so you remember how before the podcast I said, hey, wow, hats to you for starting the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually bought the gear recently, and I'm actually trying to do something where I'm actually you've heard of Khan Academy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm thinking of doing something similar to Khan Academy, but different, something more tailored toward actually trying to hopefully get to where parents are able to interact more with their kids and be involved, and actually show both the parents and the students how things work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Based on, just say a math problem, right?
Uh-huh.
I would go ahead and include, some higher order thinking questions that parents could interact and try and discuss with their students. And I'd also go ahead and give tips with parents on how to, this is how you can also, based on Common Core, show your kids how to do this. And so that way, for example, while I'm teaching you these questions, when you come across a question that's similar or more difficult, more complex, you'll have the tools on how to better teach your child on how to do this problem, instead of trying to think, oh wait, this wasn't covered. How am I supposed to go? For example, I don't know if you've ever done any of these things before, trying to for example, the example tells you, 2 + 2 = 4.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual problem that you're trying to solve is more complex than that.
Right.
It's going to tell you, why is it that 2 + 2 = 4? And if you subtract 2 or subtract 1, what happens when you do this?
So it makes you think a little more.
Yeah, so what I want to do is try and go behind what you're doing, as how and why it's being done, and hopefully, the parents and the kids will get more out of it.
Okay, cool. I mean, I hope that's something that comes to fruition, man. It sounds pretty helpful.
Yeah, I'm hoping too, because that's actually what I'm going to be working on mostly over the summer.
All right, we got another comment from Facebook from Mary Fernandez. She says, I kind of have wanted to try homeschooling for a while now. I've already been doing it for almost a month now, and I don't mind it. She says, I'd rather her kids, be safe at home than at risk. I'm just reminding myself to be patient and take breaks when we need them. And she said, today they started their virtual learning. That was a big help, and I'll take any help I can get. So, virtual learning is helpful in this case, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I liked how she actually stated that they take breaks, because that's important, and also understanding, because, no matter what, I've ran across plenty of parents that tried saying, oh, yeah, I'll just do homeschooling, and they get frustrated right away.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the fact that they're using virtual learning to help, and also they're taking breaks, I feel that's very beneficial.
Yep, for sure. Got another comment from Melanie Puente on Facebook. She says, I'm stressed because I'm working from home, and also I'm feeling guilty that I'm not giving my 5-year-old enough time or attention to teach him. But we do workbook pages, and we read. He's 5, and he hasn't started kinder, not till August, but it's definitely a struggle. That's a good point. You're home, but you're kind of not home.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that some parents are luckier than others. Let's be real here when it comes to being able to spend time with their kids, you know? And my hat's off to all the single parents out there that have to work from home and try and homeschool their kids,
For sure.
But long and short of it, what can I say? This is one of those things that, I think a lot of parents are starting to realize that teaching is not as easy as they thought it was.
Yeah, for sure. There should definitely be a lot more respect for teachers after this whole thing.
Exactly.
We got another comment from Teresa Hernandez on Facebook. She actually has a pretty cool little thing she's doing with her kids, playing, a lot of interactive games at home and whatnot. I saw her do that on the Facebook. She says, I actually enjoy being able to work from home and sit with my kids at the table when they're at school. In quotes. She says, I feel closer to them now more than ever. Plus, my second child went from C's and D's to A's and B's, so they can't BS this mom.
Honestly, I like that, and I read that, and I actually like that comment because she seems like, okay, if I may say this, I've noticed that some parents are more involved than others.
Yeah.
And usually, not always, but usually, kids that have their parents more involved in their education tend to do better. And that mom seems to be very involved. And the fact that she can honestly say, no, you can do better because I know you can do better. And she brings that out of them. And to be able to say, you can't BS me is actually quite valid and quite enough point to make.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, and she's having fun with it, man. I've seen her on Facebook. She's having.
Oh yeah, and I like the fact she's having fun with it too. Yes,
for sure. We got a comment from Steve Rodriguez, who's he's actually a teacher too at the same school I'm at right now. On Facebook, he says, "I knew it would happen, and decided to mentally prepare myself for this uphill battle. Luckily for me, I also prep my students to work independently while using ed tech. So far, so good, but I do feel worried that the students don't know how to really cope with this situation."
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very valid point because regardless, I mean, a lot of them may be overgrown. I mean, I've had some 6th graders, even some 5th graders that are like 5'10", and they're almost like a little mini grown body, but mentally, I mean, they don't have those coping skills to deal with this whole virus thing. And a lot of them probably are trying to figure out and wrap their heads around just all of this. And so, no, I feel with them. I definitely feel with them right there.
Yeah. And this last comment, appropriately, is one of my favorite comments from one of my favorite people on Facebook, my friend Christina Shin. She says, "I wonder if the stores have enough liquor to get me through this. I have knowledge, but I suck at teaching and I have no patience. So maybe I'll have to learn a new skill in the process."
Right. I will say this. I was somewhat surprised that alcohol was still fully stocked.
Yeah.
While everything else was disappearing off the shelves.
Or maybe they're just pumping it out more, quicker than usual, man.
Right.
All right, so that's the social media says comments for school closures. I'm actually going to jump into the social media says comments in the other mailbag for conspiracy theories. It's only a couple of them.
Okay.
But I want to throw them out before you talk about the conspiracy theories you wanted to talk about.
Okay.
So I basically asked, what's the craziest conspiracy theory you've ever heard? And so we have a few here. Hector Luque on Instagram says 5G is the real coronavirus. That's the one that he thinks is kind of crazy. George Hernandez on Instagram simply asked, is Jeffrey Epstein still alive? That's a big one. Right? I'm going to throw one out there that I remember from back in the 90s, was that Tupac didn't actually get killed. And that he was out there in fucking Jamaica or something still making music and some bullshit like that, right?
For me, it was Cuba.
There you go. Wherever, it's some tropical island, right?
Yeah.
And then we have a good one here from Armando Gonzalez on Facebook. He says, "I'm not all the way familiar with it, but the QAnon anonymous kind of thing, so it's QAnon stuff, is like the granddaddy of them all, and it seems to tie in all the Illuminati and every other whacked out thing you've ever heard." Have you heard of that, QAnon?
I can't say I've heard of it. No.
I mean, I briefly looked it up before we got on the call, and I think it's like a far right. I was gonna say white wing. It's the same thing. Right wing conspiracy that everybody's kind of like in the deep state is plotting against Trump. So it's all the red hat people crying about like, oh, stop picking on my president. It was I think I read that it was developed in like Reddit and fucking some of those Chan sites, and anytime I hear Reddit or Chan sites, all I think about is fucking old pervert pedophiles who have too much time on their hands. I think they're smarter than everybody.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you this much though. One of the craziest things I've ever seen from not to deviate, but we say 4chan. I think I want to say it was Reddit or 4chan or subreddit, one of those, right? But Google up at any point you can, right? The 10 darkest or craziest things from there, right?
Right.
And one of them. Now, one of them in particular. I'll send you the link if I can find it again.
Okay.
Right. One in particular, this guy actually was sending out current. I believe, if I remember correctly, he was sending out current pictures of missing women.
Oh. So like they were missing, and he had new pictures of them.
Yes, I think something along those lines.
Wow.
Something along those lines. And so, long and short of it, these people that were missing, and he was saying that I had their body parts, something like that. I can't remember. And like, that's just one of the craziest, darkest things. So there's a reason why I avoid parts of Reddit and 4chan.
Yeah. No, fuck all that, man. I know some people get into some really creepy shit and the dark web and all that, but I don't even touch Reddit or anything like that because it's just such a deep
same here
fucking rabbit hole of just filth that you don't even want to dig into,
Oh yeah. I'd rather stay with my conspiracy theories. That I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so I'll give you a quick preface. I don't honestly full on believe all these conspiracy theories, but they're fun to think about.
Okay.
I'll leave it there.
Give us some of yours, Roy.
Well, one of them in particular, I mean, and I have to give this some thought. Okay, and I know there's with Bill Gates, like, and his involvement with Wuhan and his involvement with their involvement with this whole virus thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because at the end of the day, like, okay, so Bill Gates actually started back, I want to say around 2018, the Wuhan Foundation on how to, provide better medical care for China.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. I want to say back around 2010, 2012, he also gave a TED Talk on population growth.
Mm.
Okay, and how, we are the more people we have, the more CO2, and the more we're not going to be able to have a sustainable Earth. Something to that effect.
Okay.
To that effect. All right, so fast forward back to 2018, Wuhan, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right. But the point is of his foundation, and let's be real here, China is not the most well-known country for for human rights.
Right.
So, what's a good way for them to control population? What's a good way for them to control an aging population? What's a good way for them to control the population of people that are sick? Why not create a virus that specifically targets the elderly and those with compromised immune systems? And is this not in line with Bill Gates' vision of population growth?
There's a lot of people that really believe that,
Yeah, I know there's people that truly believe that. Me, though, I don't know if I fully believe that. I give it food for thought. But at some point, I have to make some considerations because let's be real here. At some point, Bill Gates has to be bored. And he has more than enough money to where he can just say, you know what, screw it. Let me create something for fun, and let's see. I'm going to be safe. Let's see how many people get wiped out. Just because he's bored and just because he can. But on the side note, he can also come up with a vaccine and make some serious bank off of it.
Is he currently like trying to find a vaccine or work on one or hire people to work on one? What's his involvement there?
So my understanding is that he is actively trying to find a vaccine. He has given a lot of money to try and find a vaccine, and I'm sure that his foundation in China is trying to find a vaccine. I did that specifically in air quotes for for fun, you know. You know, because I figure, you know, the people that created it, wow, how funny would it be if they were to somehow come up with a vaccine?
Yeah, if they're the ones who released it and then they fucking create the vaccine.
Exactly.
I guess that would kind of fan the flames a little more there, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the whole thing, you know. So that's my whole take on it, you know, in a nutshell.
And then what?
In a nutshell.
Oh, in a nutshell, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've heard it before. You know, I've seen people post stuff about it. Like, they really have a lot of negative things to say about Bill Gates. I haven't looked into it because honestly, I'm just like kind of over this whole shit. You know, but I kind of understand it now. You know, the way you explained it. What's some other conspiracy theories you wanted to throw out there?
Honestly, I would say it's just the fact that I honestly feel that, how can I say this? I honestly feel that this is a way for the government to also test to see people's reactions, for lack of a better way, right? Like, and to also try and control, you know, the population to a degree, you know? Like, just to test to see how much say they can have over people's actions. So I'll give you a quick example of what I mean, right? First of all, they were slow to react to the pandemic. Let's be real here. They were slow to react to the pandemic. Right. You know, so now that it's out there, okay, well, let's just see, okay, shut down a lot of businesses. Let's put a shelter in place. Let's see what percentage of the population will abide by the orders and what percentage won't. And by that, they can kind of like take statistics on, okay, who's listening, who's not. What are the reactions of the people? And first and foremost, I'll say this much. Kind of like yourself at the beginning, I was like, man, what is this with this nonsense, you know? But then as more and more people started getting sick, more and more people started dropping dead, I'm like, okay, it's time to take it more seriously. But yet, you have a large portion of people that are not taking it seriously, and they want to say, no, you're intruding on our rights. And they're out there with their guns and flags waving and blah, blah. So in my thinking, when it comes to conspiracy theories, I feel the government is just kind of want to give it a field test. You know, see what people are willing to do. They're not out there taking everyone down. They're not going out Ferguson, Missouri. I don't know if you remember Ferguson, Missouri, right? Yep. They're not doing this mainly because they've already known what happens when you go Ferguson, Missouri. Let them do their thing, and they're just sitting back and taking notes.
Observing.
So that way, later on, if anything ever hits the fan, they'll be better informed on how to counteract it.
I see. If this is a test, how do you think we're doing?
I'm thinking we're failing miserably.
Yeah. You know,
I mean, just by the snapshots of the freaking people going out there saying, open up, I want my barbershop open.
They're like, these people like in Huntington Beach, man, and you know, they're wrapped up in red, white, and blue like a fucking like a 4th of July can of Budweiser and shit. You know,
right?
They're out there with their little guns, all pew pew pew. You know, it's like, come on, man! Like, you're putting on a show. You know, you're a Walmart patriot. You know, you're a freedom fighter. You know, like,
exactly, yes.
Relax with that shit. You know, what are you even gonna do with it? You know, it's kind of pathetic, really. You know. But I get why they're frustrated, but at the same time, it's like, the more you want to play this fucking hokey-pokey game with the government, you know, we're not going to win.
Exactly.
You know?
Because as big as guns... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that was it. You know, we're not going to win because, you know, they control how long everything is open and when we reopen. It's just... we're when push comes to shove, we're we're not going to be the ones that win as much as we bitch and whine about it.
Exactly, and my whole thing is that I don't care who you are, you're gonna be frustrated. You're not gonna be happy being quarantined. I don't know, except for that 90-year-old hermit that just been living for, or that 20-year-old gamer nerd that just wants to just play video games and nothing else. Outside of those two extreme cases, no one is really happy. And we want to be out. And these people are acting like they're the only ones that are fighting for freedom,
Yeah, I just trip out like how, there's groups of militias, guys who probably never even served in any, branch of the military out there in their fatigues and shit, storming like the capitals of their cities and stuff like that. I'm like, if y'all were a couple of shades darker, they would have just fucking, shot your ass before you even made it to the steps of the building.
Exactly. And the funny thing is that a lot of them, they're taking out their guns, and I don't care how big you think your guns are. The government always has access to bigger guns. Yeah.
They could shoot a fucking another hole up your asshole, right? With the goddamn laser using, GPS and shit like that. You would be none the wiser. You could be lying your ass at home, and then, they'll kill you from a satellite somewhere.
They don't even have to do that. They could just say, you know what? Let's test out these drones. I've been meaning to check them out. Let's see what the drone strike can do.
And I'm glad we haven't gotten to that point of martial law yet, because very early on, like the governor was talking about it here in California, Newsom was talking about it. I'm like, don't even fucking mention it, because you're just gonna fucking fan the flames with these goddamn, don't take my rights, people. It's like,
And the funny thing is, and this is the thing that gets me, some people out there, it's like, they're like, you know what? Challenge accepted. I'll go ahead and see what I can do. And obviously we all know how it turns out, but they're still gonna go out there and be an idiot.
Yeah, man, at that point it's like, fuck, if you missed your shot at being a rebel in high school, sorry, be an adult now.
Exactly.
It's kind of pathetic, man.
Yeah, but I'll tell you this much. This is the thing that I will touch on this really quickly, not to deviate, but I will say this. One thing that really upsets me is from a lot of these people is that they're getting, unfortunately, maybe not all of them, but majority of them, they're getting their information from social media. They're getting their information from YouTube. And I'm like, why are you avoiding facts and science? People that are actually paid and to study these things. Why are you ignoring them and saying, no, this is intruding on my rights? This is just all hoax. This is not real. It's not as serious as it is. And next thing, a lot of these schools are getting the coronavirus now. And I don't get that. That's why I will say this. That's why with my students, I tell them, don't believe everything you see on YouTube. Do not believe everything you see on social media. I don't tell them what to think. I try and teach them how to think.
Right.
Because I am hoping that little by little, I am preventing future generations from being out there making fools of themselves.
Yeah.
Believing every little thing that they see on YouTube or on Facebook or social media.
Right, just because you see it in one post.
Exactly. Just something, whatever confirms their biased views.
Yeah, and not even the story, just the headlines.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So, it's just ridiculous. And that's why I say, I feel a lot of us were failing miserably.
Honestly, all we've really done is fucking make memes and watch Tiger King.
Right? Exactly. Which,
there you go.
I gotta tell you, I love this shirt.
Yeah, let me read it for everybody. Tiger King Martial Arts, Tiger Kwon-Do, Master Joe Exotic, Karate, Tiger Wrestling, Gun Shooting. Where did you get that, man?
So interestingly enough, shortly after the documentary became a sensation. There's this website called BJJHQ. So on there, they usually sell mostly jiu-jitsu gear or jiu-jitsu themed stuff. But they had this on there for like $15 or $20, and I was like, I had to get it.
Yeah, good call on that one.
I had to get it.
For sure. So, bro, you got any other conspiracy theories you want to share with us before we close out?
None that I can think of off the top of my head. Those are like the main ones, you know. I mean, I'll tell you this much though: the funniest thing you will see is if you Google. These guys talk about Matt Groening being a time traveler.
Yeah.
Just because, like, he predicts everything. So I will just say this: not so much as a conspiracy theory I want to talk about, but that I will throw out there. If you ever want to have a good laugh, watch that. Just please do not believe it. Do not believe it.
Hey man, but the Simpsons, they're knocking that out of the park with their with the shits that's coming to life, you know.
Yeah, but you know what I think it is? I will say this. What I think it is this. And it's not so much that Matt Groening is a modern-day Nostradamus. I think what he does is he just parodies what's going on in real life. But unfortunately, life is imitating that art. You know, I mean, it's not so much that he's predicting it. It's just the fact that every time we think that we cannot lower the bar, it's like someone says, you know what, hold my beer. We can lower it down even further. Or
you know what, it might be a little bit of history repeating itself.
And that too. Yeah. Because of the fact that people do not want to learn from history. So, it repeats.
Like the Simpsons predicting the Trump presidency. Trump has been talking about being president of the U.S. for a very long time.
Yeah.
And, there's been other pandemics that have broken out before, So maybe that's where they got, like, I find it funny. Like they have...
it is.
Like, they had the whole, the spoof on whatever, like the flu, right? Where they send stuff from, I think it was from Japan, though. They send like the juicers from Japan. And everybody.
But it was China. I believe it was China because you got to keep in mind. You have to keep in mind that for many years, I watched The Simpsons.
Right.
And I lived by The Simpsons for many years. So yeah, I know what episode you're talking about. I want to believe it was China because I remember that episode. They coughed and the germs went into the box.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
they must have bought something from Wish, huh?
Yes, exactly.
And then it's funny because then you see later on the panic buying, and you have Apu with the shotgun on top of the Quickie Mart and everything. Yes. People are trying to break into the Quickie Mart, and he has to tell them calm down, you all get a chance to get in there, and then you got Milhouse's dad like, let's just beat him up and take his stuff. Apu's up there like, no, don't listen to that man. You'll all have a chance to be gouged. And I'm like, right? If that's not what's going on today, what is? And then, then you got those people that are like, in the Simpsons episode, they went to Dr. Hibbert, right? And they're demanding a cure, right? Yeah. And he says, all I can, offer you is, like just rest and something like that, right?
Placebos.
Right, and then he says, anything else I would give you would just be a placebo. Yes. And then these people are like, where do we get these placebos? And I think there's some in this truck. And they open the truck, and then there's the fucking murder hornets.
Right, and that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. Honestly, okay, so I will touch on this very quickly. I honestly feel that what he was doing is he was just mocking and shining a light on the lowest common denominator of the population. Unfortunately, they multiply a lot quicker than, for lack of a better term, the smarter people.
Yeah.
Because, did you ever see the movie Idiocracy?
Yeah, with the Gatorade, right?
Yes. Well, do you remember the beginning they had the dumb people. Well, they go in the backseat of the pickup truck and they knock out kids.
Uh-huh.
Well, the smarter people, they wait till they get educated. They wait till they're ready. They wait till they're financially ready and stable. But by that time, a lot of them, they find out they can't have kids.
Yeah, so we're stuck with all the idiots.
Exactly. So, unfortunately, this is where we're at.
Yeah. I mean, it's life imitating art there.
Yeah, I'll say one last thing on this is that to a degree, I am kind of hoping that the coronavirus is COVID-19, and whichever one you want to go by.
Was it SARS number 2, something like that?
SARS Part 2, SARS the sequel.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do knock out all of just Darwinism. You know, they do knock out all these idiots that do not want to believe in it.
Yeah. Well, you know, like, it already kind of started, right? Because, like, some of the people that were, like, on spring break when they shouldn't have been, didn't, like, half of them get sick?
Yep. I read somewhere that one of them was describing his experience, and he felt that every time he breathed, he was getting gut checked. Yeah, it was like a real harsh gut check every time he tried breathing. So he said it was the biggest mistake of his life. I read that article a little bit.
That fucking plus the chlamydia he probably contracted. Damn, it probably did a number on him, you know? All right, Roy. Well, we're going to close out the conspiracy theories then. I'm sure at some point down the road, you know, we'll have a chance to talk. I want to talk more conspiracy theories later, you know? So we'll definitely have a follow-up for sure.
Yeah, because I'll tell you this much very quickly. I have so many of them. Like, if we go down that rabbit hole, I don't know if I'll ever come out.
And we'll do a 3-hour show. That's all right. Really quickly, anything else you want to mention on any topic or any shout outs?
None that I can think of. You know, all I say is that, you know what, while I do sometimes miss LA, I'm really loving it here in Vegas, but I do miss a lot of the people I work with at LAAE and some of the kids, because they were great people. Yeah,
the adults were, you know, that was pretty much a party crew for a few years there, man.
Oh, yes.
Never seen a school like that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this much, though. Yeah, that was definitely awesome. I never knew how many teachers could go out drinking and how many of them could hold on to their liquor.
Well, or how many can't.
Or how many can't, exactly.
Yeah. Or how many are under the influence of other things, but we won't get into that.
Exactly, yes.
All right, so then what I like to do, the last thing on every episode, is I like to ask my guests about the following episode. And so you're episode number 5. On episode number 6, I have a guy named Bao Lam, and he wants to talk about universal basic income and being a part of the Yang Gang. Really quickly, in a few sentences, do you have any thoughts on universal basic income and Andrew Yang?
Andrew Yang, I like some of his thoughts. I haven't really, delved too much into his thoughts because I was more Bernie than Yang.
Okay.
But what do you call it? But as far as universal basic income, I would have to think about that one a little bit more because I honestly feel that we shouldn't have a universal basic income unless it's like a minimum wage that you're talking about. I don't know. I don't know. That's just I would have to do more research because then it's gonna delve into a whole other long-winded conversation.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't know enough about it to really comment on it, but before that episode, I do a little bit of research and then just really ask the questions to get me to understand it a little better.
Yeah.
All right, Roy. Yeah. Well, I hope you had fun with the podcast. I had a
lot of fun. It was awesome. Thank you.
For sure, man. Like I said, we got to get you back on. But for now, I want to thank everybody for listening. I really do appreciate it. We're doing really well on our downloads, and we're really at this point. We're international. We're in the U.S., Canada, and the U.K. So
nice.
A lot of listeners all over the place. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you. Fuck you, and good night. Subscribe to the Ignorance is Strength podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Like, follow, and share on Facebook and Instagram at Ignorance is Strength Podcast and on Twitter at The Ignorance Pod.